We're the Jump Out Girls.
Yes, and we are here with the famous writer, 3 books, blowing up, Dawdu.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Hey, good.
Man, we're so
How are
excited.
you?
I'm good. I'm blessed.
Good. Thanks for coming by.
So tell us a little bit just about, really quick about, honestly, you were the first person to interview us and didn't interview us at the same time.
Exactly. I wrote a brilliant article. I think it's brilliant.
Yep.
Talented writer.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your writing and what's going on.
So, my name is Dawdu Amintana. I've been freelance writing since 2015. I've been doing a lot of stuff around the space with cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, blockchain, obviously. But my wheelhouse was when I first graduated from college. I got into the finance route, so I worked for JP Chase, State Street Bank, a couple of other major hedge fund banks. Hit a glass ceiling, didn't really like it anymore, so I got into tech. Started to learn how to code, do stuff around there. How I was approached about Bitcoin was an engineer at the bank, approached me about Bitcoin. Obviously, as you know, like with the legacy finance world, Bitcoin is not really something that's talked about. Mm-hmm. So I knew about it a little bit. They talked about the protocol. I bought like $10 worth of Bitcoin on Coinbase, forgot about it. Some years flew by. When I was in tech, people started talking about it more. I understood the code a little bit more because of JavaScript. And then the pandemic hit. And me being a first-time father, I was like, wait a minute, I had to figure out a way to have a store of value that makes sense for me and my family. So
right.
Bitcoin was like, the light bulb just went off for me. So to switch back to how I got into writing, I've always had writing as my side hobby. And how I found about these 2 beautiful women is I was just traversing YouTube and I saw women that traditionally didn't look like someone that would be in finance. And I think a lot of times people look at me and say, like, when they see me, they're like, this guy doesn't write. The way that I look, dressed, it's like it throws people off. So when I saw y'all, I was like, oh, I'm feeling it. So I started watching the YouTube channel and I'm like, wow, I love the work that they're doing. I love the way that they approach finance. And I was like, I have to write about them. Because I Googled y'all and I didn't find anything. So I'm like, wait a minute, why isn't nobody talking about these sisters? Right? So I'm like, all right, I'll be the first one to write about them. So I wrote about them and it's been a wrap from there.
It was interesting because when you wrote the article, we hadn't even spoke. Like it was like, this is our first time.
This is our first time meeting face to face, all of that, And
the article like literally read as if he knew us, and it was just like, it was incredible because even other people who had read the article was like, damn, you guys already met him?
Yeah,
we were like,
exactly.
No.
Yep.
Yeah, but so in terms of just like, this is our first year here at, the conference. In terms of what were some things that like excited you about like this year versus previous years or what you heard?
One of the main things that excited me was just seeing so many Bitcoiners, so many people that look like me coming into the space. Shout out to Black Bitcoin billionaires. I also do writing for them as well. And it was just like kind of a pilgrimage for me. So, if you're a Bitcoiner, coming to the Bitcoin conference is like a huge deal. It's very expensive. A lot of people don't have the opportunity to come to Bitcoin conference. So for me, it was kind of like a moment in time where I can possibly write about this in the future and talk about all the great people I met, all the entrepreneurs, businesswomen, businessmen. So I would say the main highlight was definitely the Miami takeover with BBB. We had so much fun at Gitano. Big Mar was great. Jump Out Girls were great. So that was my highlight for sure, to just see my beautiful Black people holding it down for the cryptocurrency space.
So what do we going to get next from you? So I know you have some heat coming. What you got? Can we get a little bit? Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Because he already has 3 books. Can you shout your books out though first?
Yeah. So my 3 books are, my first book is called Death of a Rose, Rise of the Black Petunia. That's a poetry book. My second book is called Cover Me in Gold, the history and horrors and facts about gold. And that was kind of like my getting into Bitcoin, right? Like talking about stores of value, right? And my third book, which is my most recent book, is The Bit on Digital Coins, an introduction to cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. And if you need to learn anything about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, or blockchain technology, that is the go-to book to get. But what I am working on now is, I had a series that I wrote on Medium called Stacking Sats is a New Black. And those articles, it's a 5-part series that kind of goes into the social conditioning of what African Americans go through trying to adopt cryptocurrency or Bitcoin in particular. And that came from an idea that I had where in this space is very difficult. There's a lot of glass ceilings. There's a lot of misinformation and disinformation about how do you onboard, how do you become financially literate. So I talk about everything from financial IQ to being ostentatious, buying too much jewelry, or not really putting your money in the right places at the right time. You know, I talk about decoding the matrix. That's one of the series I have in there where learning how to code, being familiar with technology is very, very important. So what I planned on doing is I took those articles and I actually formulated them into a book. So that book will be coming out hopefully by late spring, early summer, and the title obviously will be Stacking Sats is the New Black. And I really champion a lot of the moderators in BBB, such as Bitcoin Vegan, CJ the Smart Guy, Dr. Shalair, and I really talk about how we are changing the narrative of what it looks like to be young, black, rich, successful, you know, in this space, and we're here to stay. So
yes. The whole stacking stats, you know, like that. I think, you know, when we first really got into Bitcoin, I honestly didn't know what a sat was. I was like, what the fuck is a sat? But now that we understand it and we're grasping this, like, the Satoshi concept, like, I think that in terms of our community, like, that's like the thing that we try to push most now. It's like, just start off with sats. Like, we're building to get right, you know what I mean? And I think we have a sometimes difficulty understand, like, this long-term gratification, but these short-term gains that we're going to get to build this long-term gratification. Like, what have you noticed much since you have the financial background? What have been some of the, you know, challenges or trying to understand in clarity to understand that traditional finance terms to, like, now crypto, and really trying to balance how, you know, most people think?
Yeah, most definitely. I think that, like, there's a saying that Warren Buffett has where he says, investing isn't about intelligence, it's about temperament. So when it comes to finance, when it comes to crypto, all of these things that people may be flummoxed about or confused about, we always try to look at education first. So that's why me as a writer, I try to really break down the basics and give people a small digestible bits of literary intelligence about what is crypto, what is a Satoshi, what is proof of work, why are these things important in the protocol. So it's like, for me personally, I understand where we come from as a culture, and I understand that the attention span is very low. So when I write, I try to write my pieces in 3 to 5 minute segments.
Helps me out.
So when you're commuting or you're on the train or you're doing things in the gym, whatever, you have the headphones in, you can just read these articles really quickly and get a really good understanding of, like, the basics at minimum, and then you do your own research and grow from there.
Doing your own research is something that we talk a lot about, just because, you know, we understood that doing your own research, it requires you to understand the utility, it requires you to understand what you're getting into, because sometimes, like, we have a tendency just to jump out there and, like, we'll do the research after the fact, but it's because we also have some trusted sources. And, you know, we just understand that, but still, you should still do your research, right? And educate yourself, just because it makes it better for the long run, right?
Exactly. Proactive, reactive.
Yes.
That's what we always shoot for.
Yes. So the shirt, talk to us about the shirt.
Come on, we love it.
And the hat. Look, he got the Bitcoin hat on. He got the.
Come on.
So the shirt, you can get this merch at my website, www.iamdawdu.com, and that's spelled IAMDAW.com. That's just a little, you know, addition to what I've been pushing, the movement of, like, what it looks like to be African American in the space, and kind of championing, like, the people that are in our culture, like MLK, for example. And the inspiration behind this sweatshirt was towards the later part of MLK's career, he had a pitch that he was pushing, which was called the Poor People's Campaign. And he was really talking about economic empowerment and how we as people of color need to really get into the movement of understanding that economics is what's going to really change the narrative for us as a people in this country and in the diaspora. So I had this thought in my mind. I said, if MLK was alive today, I feel like he would have been a Bitcoiner. So this is where the inspiration for this t-shirt came from. And you can find this on my website as well if you're looking to purchase it.
Yes.
Yes, dope stuff, guys.
Super dope stuff. So, like, speaking about the younger generation and, like, with your daughter and everything, like, how are you incorporating Bitcoin and, like, this movement and technology? Even, you know, she's so young, right? But then it's just like we have books out, like Miss Charlene's book, Satoshis, like things like that are helping communicate more to the kids. Like, what are you doing as a parent to, like, just, explain and talk to about it in a way that she would understand.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? Like, and I think I put this on my Instagram the other day when I said, like, does anybody besides me listen to audiobooks in the car?
Yeah, I saw when you said.
So, like, what I've learned is, like, when she was really, really young, like a few months old, I would play, like, Mozart in the house, right? Like, when she's sleeping, like, subconsciously, the music, right? Or even words, right? So when we're in the car driving, I'll put on the Bitcoin Standard, or I'll put on some of these other books and just be listening to it.
Right.
And you'd be very surprised, like, what kids actually soak in.
Yes.
And then as she's older and can articulate herself, we'll have those conversations about, what is Bitcoin, what is crypto, what does financial empowerment look like, especially for, that's why I love y'all, because as Black women, YouTube is forever. So all the content that you have there is like, when she's 5 and 6 years old, we can pull back these videos and say, hey, these women look like you and might go through some of the things you've gone through. And like, look at them, they're still making it, surviving, and they're going back to their community and saying, hey, like, we can be financially literate. We can be rich.
Yes.
Like, we can hang out where the money resides too. So that's exactly like the mind frame that I'm in, where like it's all about just getting them early into just like hearing things, certain words, just subconsciously.
Right.
No, that's kind of how it is with the boys. I have 3, and just like they hear it all day now. Like, and now we're getting them actually into the camera. Our oldest one, so it's like you said, I get it. You just keep putting them in the situations, and you will be totally surprised. Like random conversations come up now, and I'm like, you paid attention, you listen, or they'll ask a question. I'm like, but when I was talking to you, you were like this, or whatever. But it wasn't me talking. It was them listening to something else, or when I thought they weren't paying attention and I'm talking, and that's what they're soaking in. And you're absolutely right. Just letting them constantly listening, seeing certain things. We have conversations. We have games. Do you have playing the games right now? We've been playing games. That helps out a lot. How old is she? 3?
She's gonna be 2 in July. So she's not.
Baby, baby.
She's not ready for the games yet.
But it's so. But what I've noticed, they have little what do you call those little things I've been seeing around? Little figures, or like just the figures we have, like a Bitcoin or stuff like that, just to play, throw them out there, just or to play with or something like that. Like you said, but it does help a lot, and I did not pay attention or notice that until some of mine started coming and saying certain things, and I was just like, oh, okay.
Well, shoot, the play to earn games and stuff, and doing little commentary and stuff. So it's just like what you can definitely see that kids grasp, like especially if it's consistent and you're telling them, it's like maybe they're not saying it at the time, but they'll say it later. You're like, what you say?
Exactly. Exactly.
But no.
That's awesome. I love
so what do you think in terms of just like the movement in terms of Bitcoin? Like where do you see it's going? Like, because honestly, for us, this was our first conference, like I said, and we didn't expect to see so many different types of companies. Like for me, I thought everything was going to be like, honestly, Bitcoin type of maxi, like only companies who are only doing Bitcoin and only like no other coin is ever mentioned. But what we saw is like everything, like there was just like Coinstar and these companies that you've heard of. You're like, damn, they're here, Like, what do you think about that? Like, especially since you've been in the game longer than us.
Yeah, most definitely. Like my traditional 9 to 5, I'm a technical writer.
Right.
So I write for cryptocurrency companies.
Right.
So like that's a good example of like that's an opportunity in the space that didn't exist 5 or 6 years ago, right? So it's like I think that as we become more into the adoption phase, the accumulation phase, and Bitcoin becomes more ubiquitous, I think that you're going to start to see all kinds of different businesses that you could never imagine.
Right.
Like a good example is like you see a lot of mining, right?
Yeah. Yes. There was so many.
Yeah. So like we have a moderator in BBB, Kim. She does BTC Impact.
Right.
Where you're mining and you're kind of like getting these things, and where 4 or 5 years ago you would never see a Black woman in control of a mining operation.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like when you see these things, it's like, dang, like who knows where this is gonna go?
Right.
Like, but I do know that. As we become more involved, more entrenched into this, it's going to become to a point where we may not actually need some of these companies, and we can start branching out and building our own companies.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Because we have the education, we have the smarts, just like everybody else in this culture. So I think that it's coming down to a point of we just have to figure out what we want to do as a people.
That's true. That's true. And utilizing our resources too, you 100%. Know what I mean? Yeah. Like to have the platforms like that we're all part of, I think it was like in a weird, we got checked yesterday. I'm gonna be honest, we got checked because we were saying that we don't see a lot of us.
Oh yeah. You're
and then Reggie Middleton.
He sure did say, if you was here 5 years ago,
neither one of y'all would have been here.
So we see the growth.
Yeah, and I think like we're expecting, like we were thinking like, oh my God, we didn't know what to expect, but it's just like when you see these events that are like solely put on by us, you're like, oh shit, like this is a little different, you know what I mean? And just to see the representation, and honestly to have Lamar speak this year, that was huge. Like I thought that was pretty huge. Just,
very huge.
Like the movement and having like this person, this figure who's been such, to me, in my opinion, instrumental in just like speaking about Bitcoin in the Black community, and to have him as a speaker today, this year, spoke a lot about just like the innovation and what's coming, what's up to come, Yeah.
And it also shows how far we've come too.
Yeah.
Like Lamar, he's an elder for me, he's a mentor for me.
Correct.
I've learned a lot from Lamar, and I think that Lamar is just getting started in his journey and helping other people like us kind of, grow and like kind of get into bigger places in the industry.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think also too, like what we're seeing is it's like there's so many ways to do anything you want in this space.
Yeah. It's still so new. We hear this all the time, and we see it's new.
Right.
Because like you just said, there's so many different job opportunities right now that no one would even think about.
Correct.
Because of this new space. And that's what we're trying to push as well. If you learn this, you can do this and combine it and you're good to go.
Right.
It's so many different things right now coming out.
Yeah.
Yep. And I want to add additionally too, like the barrier of entry, there's no barrier of entry now.
Exactly.
So before we kind of got blackballed, or they put your resume to the side real quick. So like now, if you know how to code or you know how to a little bit about finance, you can kind of just wiggle your way in there.
Right.
Like, yo, let's set up a YouTube channel and just start talking about it.
Yeah.
And then you don't know who's gonna gravitate to your page. Look at me. Look at the situation.
Yes. Like, look at us. Right.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, I have to talk about them. Like, I think that they're just brilliant.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
That's so appreciative.
You're brilliant.
Yeah, no, you're brilliant. And you definitely use SAT words. Because I'm going to go back and look at this interview and have to be like, incubiculous?
She said SAT words.
We like SAT words. But no, honestly, yeah. So what do you, what's a fun fact about Dawdu?
What's the fun fact?
Fun fact about me is like, I kind of really love to do like the outdoor stuff. Like I'm a big hiker. Like, and most people of color, we don't really do the hiking.
Yeah.
So like, I'm from up north, so like I do a lot of hiking. I love to read. Like I have a huge library. Like one of my visions is like in the future when I get to that level where I'm really successful, like I want to have like a library in my house, like the old school ones with the ladder.
Yes,
and
yes.
I dream about that a lot.
That's gonna be dope.
It's coming.
I see it. I see it for you. I see it. It's gonna be
I see it with all your books,
Yeah.
with your books behind you. Any books that you recommend, like for us, The Creature from Jekyll Island, Bitcoin Standard, like these books have been instrumental in, and obviously, God, I can't think of their book right now, but the Bitcoin American Standard, right? All these books that are out there that we know people who wrote books, and what are some books that you suggest for maybe some newbies or just like getting into the space, just to start off with?
I think a couple books that would really be instrumental for people is Digital Gold, Bitcoin in Black America, the Bitcoin Standard, obviously, by Safe Dean. And I think that, like, honestly, I'm gonna keep it real. You don't even really need to read a lot of books. There's so many articles out there. Like, you can go on bitcoinmagazine.com and literally just read and read and read. Or you can even go to BBB, because I do some of the blog work there. And just read about Bitcoin, the protocol, and you'll learn so much. So sometimes people don't like books. Sometimes people don't want to carry books or read chapter after chapter. So I think that there's so much information out there now that you really can just learn about this, like walking down the street. You'll hear people talking about it. And you'll be surprised who knows what they know.
Because it's like sometimes you think that like some of the big heavy hitters, but it's like sometimes we've been in spaces or rooms and it's like the person with the 2 followers who's coming in there dropping boom, 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 dropping facts. So it's just like what I like about Bitcoin is that you never know, right? First of all, nobody here has Bitcoin, but right, we say that. However, like you never know. You can never judge a person. You don't know who has what. There's no like standard to it. So it's like that true decentralization of Bitcoin is like, to me, that's what's like, oh my God, it's a hard concept to grasp. Like there's no middleman.
Once I grasp it, that's for me. That's all I scream now. Freedom, freedom, freedom. 2:00 in the morning, something's going down. Tima, I can transfer you this money. Like, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that we can go to other countries and it's just like that. We're not calling somebody asking later, oh, no, can I have my money back, please? No, it's our money. And we want to be empowered with our own money.
Exactly, yeah. What I do.
We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Y'all.
Hey, so next year, we're looking out for the book. No, this year we're looking out for the book.
This year for the book, yep.
And anything else on the horizon?
And I don't know what the world has to bring for me, but look forward to a lot more articles, a lot more writing from me.
Yes.
And the world is my oyster right now. So like they said, we're still early in the game. So as time keeps going on, man, we're just gonna keep pushing out great quality content, and we're gonna continue to really champion the people that look like us in this culture, because we need it. We need the information, we need the education, and we need to be in a place where we're comfortable talking about money. So when we walk into these rooms, people see us and they associate us with wealth just like everybody else.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. That's a great ending. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Hey, we're out.